in 2 acts. One set, 5 characters. A juicy murder in Act 1. Unexpected developments in Act 2. Sound construction, good dialogue, laughs in the right places. Highly commercial.
Well, that's wonderful, darling. I'm so happy for you, for both of us.
Happy. Why on earth happy?
But it's yours, isn't it? The idea you had in August?
The idea I had in August has gone the same way of the idea I had in June, and the idea I had in whenever it was before then, in the fireplace, up the chimney, and out over Fairfield County. Pollution in its most grisly form. This arrived in the mail this morning. It's property of one Clifford Anderson. He was one of the twerps at the seminar. Dear Mr. Brule, I hope you don't mind my sending you my play Death Trap, which I finished retyping at 2 o'clock this morning. Since I couldn't have written it without the inspiration of your own work and the guidance and encouragement you gave me last summer, I thought it only fitting that you should be the first person to read it. If you find it 1/10 as good as any of your own thrillers, I'll consider my time well spent and the fee for this seminar more than adequately recompensed.
Well, that's nice.
No, it isn't. It's fulsome. Please excuse the carbon copy. The local Xerox machine is on the fritz, and I couldn't stand the thought of waiting a few days to send my firstborn child off to its spiritual father. My italics, his emetics. I hope you'll call it right as soon as you've read it and let me know whether you think it's worthy of submitting to, etc., etc. Son of a bitch even types well. I think I remember him. Enormously obese, glandular condition, 400 pounds. I wonder where he got my address from.
From the university?
Probably.
Was it really that good? His first play?
Can't miss. The gifted director couldn't even hurt it. It'll run for years. The stock and amateur rights will go on to feed and clothe generations of Andersons. It could easily be opened up for a movie. George C. Scott and Liv Ullman.
And Trish Van Devere?
There's a part in it for her, too. The damn thing is perfect.
I should think you'd be proud that one of your students has written a saleable play.
For the first time in 11 years of marriage, darling, drop dead.
My goodness.
I'm green with envy. I'd like to beat the wretch over the head with the mace there, bury him in a 400-pound hole somewhere, and send the thing off under my own name to David Merrick or Hal Prince. Now, there's the best idea I've had in ages.
My poor Sydney.
I mean, what's the point in owning a mace if you don't get to use it once in a while?
You'll get an idea of your own any day now, and it'll turn into an even better play than that one.
Don't bet on it. Not that you have any money to bet with.
We're doing very nicely in that department. Not one creditor beating at our door.
But for how long? I've just about cleaned you out now, haven't I?
We've just about cleaned me out. And it's been joy and delight every bit of the way. Your next play will simply have to be a terrific success.
Thanks. That's what I need, an easing of the pressure.
Maybe you could bring it to Merrick's attention. Get a commission of some kind.
Finder's fee, you mean?
If that's what it's called.
Oh, a great and glorious 1%, maybe 1.5%.
Maybe you could produce it yourself. You've been involved in enough productions to know how it's done. And it could be a beneficial change of pace.
Darling, I may be devious and underhanded enough to be a Broadway producer, but not, I think, a Broadway producer. One mustn't overestimate one's talent.
Collaborate with him, then. Surely there's room for improvement, good as it is. You know, the professional touch, a little reshaping and sharpening.
It's a possibility.
He'll jump at the chance to work with you. And then you'll be able to write a play that's all your own.
I'm sure I shall, sooner or later. Yeah, we'd split 50-50.
And you'd get top billing.
Naturally. Reverse alphabetical order, dear boy. It's done all the time.
On the basis of who you are.
Sydney 4 Flops Brule.
Sydney, author of The Murder Game, Brule.
Oh, yes, The Murder Game. I remember that one back in the time of King Arthur, wasn't it?
Not quite that long ago.
18 years, love, 18 years, each one going by. Faster than the one before. something recedes like success. That's a good one, isn't it? I'm sure I can work it in someplace. There's a has-been actor who could say it. Recedes is EDE, right?
Yes. You see, you would improve it.
Give it the inimitable Sidney Brule flavor. Close, in Boston.
Call him now. Where does he live?
Up in Milford. You don't like the mace?
No. Too much blood on the carpet. And plus Helga Tindorf would be picking up our psychic vibrations.
In Holland? I doubt it very much.
Sydney, what were you smoking Friday night while the rest of us were smoking grass? Helga she's taken the McBain's cottage for the next 6 months. Tom Wesson. Paul Wyman's doing a book with her. He was impersonating her for 15 minutes.
Oh, I thought he was finally coming up out of the closet.
You see what a fine murderer you'd make? Helga Tindorf moves in basically on your doorstep and you manage not to hear about it.
That does give one pause.
It should. Tom and Nan Wesson had her to dinner last week, and she told Tom all about his backaches and the money he put into silver and his father's apparent thing for tall women. And she told Nan that their au pair girl would leave, which she did 2 days later. And she found a set of keys that Nan lost in 1969. They were under the clothes dryer.
She's in the McBain cottage.
Just over yonder, probably picking up our psychic vibrations right now.
Well, it seems that Mr. Anderson has himself a collaborator. Not that I really believe in ESP.
Well, the police in Europe sure seem to. That's half of why she's here. She's supposed to be resting from pointing at murderers.
Wait a minute now. The fat one didn't stay the full week. His name was Quinn. Or Quincy. Anderson. Anderson. I wonder if he was the one with the office scanner.
Easy way to find out.
Yes. This may be a 3-hour conversation. Busy. Probably talking to Merrick. What's for dinner?
Salmon?
Again?
Yes? Sydney, would you actually kill someone to have another successful play?
Don't be foolish, darling. Of course I would. You're spoken in jest, Miss Tendorf.
It's Mrs. She's divorced.
No wonder who could stay married to a woman with ESP. Well, wouldn't you like to go to Sardi's again, secure in the knowledge that we're not going to be seated in the kitchen? Do you know how much this play could net its author in today's market? $2 million, and that's not including the Death Trap t-shirts. If that's not a reasonable motive for murder, I'd like to know what is. I wish you hadn't told me about her. Ah, here we go. Hello, is this Clifford Anderson? Sidney Brule. As a matter of fact, I finished it 15 minutes ago, and I must tell you in all sincerity that you've got yourself an enormously promising first draft. I was just saying to my wife, Myra, that if you give it the reshaping it needs, point it up in the right places, and work in some laughs, it'll be right up there with the Murder Game, and the Sleuth, and Dial M. It has the makings, as we say. I should think you would be. Oh, I know that feeling so well. I thought the Murder Game was finished the first time round, and then someone with much more experience in the theater took it in hand and revised it with me, and improved it tremendously. I don't mind admitting. George S. Coffin. He didn't take credit, though God knows I urged him to because he was badly in debt at the time and didn't want to know that he had a share of the royalties. But look, I could be quite wrong about this. What sort of reaction have you had from other people? Oh. No one at all. That's very flattering, but surely someone has read it. Your friends, your wife, some of the people who were at the seminar. Oh, I see. That sounds ideal. Complete isolation, and all you have to do is check the thermostat and water the plants. I'm surprised you've only written one play since July. I'd have tossed off 3 or 4 by now. I am. A marvelous thriller. It's about a woman with ESP based on Helga Tendorf. You know, the Dutch psychic. She's a neighbor of ours. I love Death Trap. Incidentally, the play title as well as the play, or the promising first draft, I should say. Yes, I do. Far too many of them to give you over the phone. Perhaps we can get together sometime and go through the manuscript scene by scene. I'm free this evening, as a matter of fact. Maybe you could drive down. It's not very far. Well, why don't you take the train down, and I'll pick you up at the Westport station, and I'll run you over. It'll be better that way anyway. You'd have a devil of a time finding us. We're way off in the woods. Have to send up flares whenever we're expecting people. Hold on. His car is in for repairs. He's house sitting for a couple in Europe. I'm married.
Do you think he'd be open to the idea of collaborating?
Yes, I think he might. Was George S. Kaufman still alive when the murder... yes? Oh, no, that's a bit early. When's the next one? That's too late. Let's make it the 7:29. And there's an 11:00-something from New York that I'm sure stops at Milford. You won't have any problem at all about getting back home. Would you mind bringing the original with you? The carbon's hard on these wary old eyes. Good. I'll see you at 7:29 then. Oh, Terrence. Do you mind if I call you Terrence? Why? Oh, God, I'm sorry, Clifford! Clifford, I may be a few minutes late, Clifford, so wait by the station and I'll be along eventually. In a navy blue Mercedes. Right. Goodbye. I think he's the one without obvious defects.
What errands do you have to run? You mentioned them.
Didn't you say something about library books, picking them up or dropping them off?
No, I didn't.
Oh. I thought you did. The Xerox machine has been fixed, but he decided to wait a day or two longer in case I had any small suggestion to make. No one else has read it. No one even knows he's been working on it.
And no one will see you picking him up from the train station.
Thought did cross my mind. I'm so in the habit of planning crimes on paper.
Why did you ask him to bring the original copy?
You heard me. The carbon is a strain, and we should have 2 copies to go through. I don't want him leaning over my shoulder for 2 hours exhaling cheeseburger.
I'm sure he has another copy filed away somewhere.
More than likely, and all his notes and outlines, early drafts. Opening night of my dazzling triumph, his gray-haired mother comes down the aisle, accompanied by the Milford and Westport police departments.
Ring, ring.
Hello? Oh, how are you, Lottie? I don't think so. I have an idea I've been working on that I don't want to lose touch with. It's in the embryo stage. But Myra might want to. Hold on a second. They're going to see the French thing at Fine Arts 2. I could drop you off on the way.
I don't want to see it tonight.
Lottie? Myra will pass too. She's a bit under the weather. Give us a report on it tomorrow, will you? Have fun. Goodbye. You don't have to stand guard over me. Only kill when the moon is full.
Why did you lie to her just now? Why didn't you tell her you were having visitors?
Is it their business? I don't know why I lied. I'm just a liar.
The moon was full last night, except for a little sliver at the bottom.
Really? Well, I shall simply have to exercise massive self-control and remind myself of the other carbon, which almost certainly exists.
If not for that, Sydney, would you? Could you?
Probably not. probably I would chicken out, even if he's the tiny one. They say that committing murder on paper siphons off the hostile impulses, and I'm sure it does. At the same time, though, it gives the possibility of committing real murder because of the familiar feel of a possibility worth considering, just as owning a weapon and handling it gives one, however so slightly, the idea of using it. But there is a world of possibility between a paper victim and a real one. No, I'm sure that Clifford Anderson will return home in the same state of health in which he arrives, manuscript clutch and tiny, or huge, or relatively normal.
I'm sure he'll be thrilled to work with you.
I'm sure he will. And I'm sure I'll pick another place sooner or later.
You know, you could write something about Helga Tindorp. Just not called The Frowning Wife.
The Smiling Wife, a cheerful, a kind of thriller. You know, there may be an idea in this. A playwright is sent a newly hatched play by a twerp who attended his seminar. It's a possible opening, isn't it? If it's obviously commercial and the playwright has a room full of weapons.
Put it in your notebook.
Yes, I will. Pity's got the title Death Trap. Actually, it was built in 1794, but they were out of nines at the hardware store, so I backdated it 10 years.
It's a beautiful house.
Historical Society had kittens.
Hello.
This is Clifford Anderson, dear, my wife, Myra.
Hello. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Come in, I was beginning
Watch
to
your step.
worry.
You can always tell an authentic colonial by the visitor's stubbed toes.
The room you work in.
How did you guess?
The typewriter. And all these posters. Is that the mace that was used in Murderer's Child?
Yes, and the dagger is from the murder game. Oh, be careful. It's sharp. The trick one was substituted in Act 2.
In for the kill.
Yes.
I can't understand why that play didn't run.
Critics peeing on it might be the answer.
The train must have been late, was it?
No, Mr. Brule was. The train was on time.
I had to get gas, and Frank insisted on fondling the spark plugs.
Do you know that Gunpoint was the first play I ever saw? I had an aunt in New York, and I came in on the train one Saturday by myself, another first from Hartford. She took me to the matinee. I was 12 years old.
You're trying to depress me. Hey,
How? Oh, I'm sorry, but that's how I got hooked on thrillers.
Angel Street did it to me. Where have you put the grocery bill? You poor, wretched creature. What have you done with it? I was 15.
Sounds like a disease being passed from generation to generation.
It is a disease. The Loritis malignis, the fevered pursuit of the one set 5-character moneymaker.
I'm not in pursuit of money. Not that I wouldn't like to have some so I could have a place like this to work in, but that isn't the reason I wrote Death Trap.
You're still in early case.
It's not a disease, it's tradition. A superbly challenging theatrical framework in which every possible variation seems to have been played. Can I conjure up a few new ones? Can I startle an audience that's been on Angel Street, that's witnessed the prosecution, that's dialed M for murder?
That was a lovely speech.
I was becoming a sleuth.
I'm glad I stopped you.
So am I. I'm still a little euphoric about all that's happening.
As well, you should be.
Would you like something to drink?
Yes, do you have any ginger ale?
Yes. Sydney, scotch?
No, dear, I believe I'll have ginger ale, too.
These aren't all from your plays, are they?
God, no. I haven't written that many. Friends give me things now, and I proudly empty shops.
Now there is a disease.
Yes, and a super excuse for not working. I found this in Ridgefield just the other day. 18th century German.
It's beautiful.
Yes, As you can see, I take very good care of my spiritual child, Rockin' Team.
I have the original.
Oh, thank God. I should really be wearing my glasses, but my doctor said the longer I can do without them, the better off I am.
It's...
Here you are. Oh, there you are.
It's in a binder for the Xeroxing.
Makes no never mind.
There was a scene in Act 1 between Diane and Carlo that I thought I may have been wrong to cut. And the Diane and Richard scene starts earlier before they know Carlo's back.
Did you do several drafts?
Just the one. It's a bit messy, but I think you'll be able to decipher it if you'd like to see those two scenes.
I would, by all means. I had a feeling there was a Diane and Carlo scene I wasn't seeing before the murder.
Yes, I was afraid the act would run too long.
Thanks. What else have you got in there?
Just the outline, which I departed from considerably. I made it the way you suggested, a page per scene, loosely. And some lines I jotted down but never got to use.
Threw away the ones you did use as you used them?
Yes.
Same way I work.
Line.
Everything was in the one.
Everything was in the one binder, so I just grabbed it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
It was a 2-hour walk to the station, so I had to leave right after we talked.
2 hours!
I walk longer than that. I'm one writer who is not going to get flabby. I work out with weights every morning. I was this close to making the Olympic decathlon team.
Really?
Well, this close.
I'll make sure not to argue with you. I'm on the Olympic sloth team. Gold medal. I can fall asleep in any position. Death trap!
Death trap.
Death trap. It'll be toasted with more than ginger ale one day, if Sydney's right about it. And I'm sure he is.
I certainly hope so. I toasted it with beer the other night.
Oh, we have some. Would you prefer?
Oh, no, this is fine, thanks.
Are you planning on staying here?
Yes.
Do you think I overdid it with the set description? All the exact locations for each piece of furniture?
The set description? Don't remember anything wrong with it? No, this is perfect. Couldn't be better. You certainly type beautifully, Electric.
No, I can't see electric typewriters. There's a power failure you can't work.
That's the whole point in owning one. The real problem I find with them, with Zenobia here at any rate, is that you can make only one decent carbon. The other one is so muddy as to almost be illegible. It's to be almost illegible. You don't have that trouble with...
Mr. Anderson, Sydney has so many ideas on how to improve your play.
I'm sure he does. I can't wait to hear him.
Couldn't you do that in the living room, dear?
There's no good reading light in there.
I seem to recall a paisley chair with a light beside it, bright enough for the engraving of Bibles on pinheads.
The light is too bright, and the chair is too low. I'll be quiet.
Darling, this is Clifford's first play. I'm the first person who has read it. I'm sure he'd prefer our conversation to be private. Would you mind? Don't be embarrassed to say so.
No, I don't mind Mrs. Brule being here. In fact, I like it. It makes me feel a little less as if I've been summoned to the principal's office.
Oh, I'm sorry if I awed you.
You do. All those plays and the things you say, I never thought of calling my typewriter anything but Smith Corona.
As long as it answers.
You can read the play too, Mrs. Brule, if you'd like.
I would.
I'm curious to know how women will react to Diane's decision about the gun.
Sydney told me a little bit about it at dinner, but he stopped before all the surprises. I don't even know who kills whom.
Good, you shouldn't. I think that was the problem with Murderer's Child, if you'll forgive me for saying so. From the opening curtain, it was so obvious that Dr. Mannheim was going to bash poor Teddy. He didn't leave any room for doubt. I mean, the audience should suspect, yes, but they shouldn't be absolutely certain, should they? Doesn't that tend to diminish the suspense?
Yes, you may have a point there. I wish you had told me on the phone that you wanted Myra to read it. I have told you to bring another copy, and she could be reading it right now while we have our talk.
I didn't know she'd be interested, and besides, I don't have one.
You don't have another copy.
I only made the one. I thought I'd be Xeroxing the original as soon as I was through.
Well, there's no need for 2 or 3 in the age of Xerox.
She could read this one, and we could pass pages back and forth, or I could sit next to you.
Wait, let me think. I want to think for a moment.
Mr. Anderson, Sydney has so many creative ideas about your play. You know, you see, he gets plays all the time in the mail, from his agent, from producers, from aspiring playwrights. Supposedly they're ready for production, but usually he just sneers and says the most disparaging, horrible things you can possibly imagine. I've never seen him so excited.
Is that what you meant by I'll be quiet? You know what?
I won't be quiet. I'm going to say something that's been on my mind since your phone conversation. Mr. Anderson, it's very wrong of you to expect Sidney to give you his years of experience in hard-won knowledge without so much as a quid pro quo, as if the seminar were still in session.
He offered to give me...
And it's very wrong of you to have offered it to him. I'm the one in this house who's with my feet on the ground and my eye on the checkbook. This is going to come as a surprise to you, but I want you to give it your honest and thoughtful and earnest consideration. Can you do that for me, please? Put aside the play you're working on. Yes, put aside the play about Helga Tindorf and how she finds murderers, and keys under clothes dryers, and help Mr. Anderson with his. That's the fair and rational thing to do in this situation. Death Trap, Clifford Anderson, and Sidney Brule. Unless, of course, in deference to your age and reputation, he decides that you should be first.
That is a shocker. Put aside the drowning wife.
I thought it was frowning.
Frowning? Oh, what kind of play title would that be? The drowning wife is what I'm calling it at the moment. It has these women's lib overtones, plus the ESP. It's such a timely play.
It will keep. People are always interested in psychics that can point to, that can look at a crime scene and say, this man murdered that man.
That's awfully persuasive, Myra. How does it grab you?
Oh! Wow. I suddenly feel as if I'm on the spot.
You are. Really, Myra's put you there, put us both there.
I felt that something should be said before anything was done.
Yes, quite right. Quite right. What's your reaction, Clifford?
Well, first of all, I'm overwhelmed, honored, and staggered that Sidney Brule would even consider the idea of putting aside one of his own plays to help me on mine. I mean, there I was, sitting in that theater when I was 12, and who would think that one day I'd be standing here weighing the chance to...
We get the gist of this passage.
It's a golden opportunity I'm sure I ought to seize with both hands.
Yes, you should.
But the thing is, it's as if I went to the doctor, one of the world's leading specialists, and he recommended surgery. Well, even with my respect for his eminence and his experience, I would still want to get a second opinion, wouldn't I? I'm sure your ideas are terrific, but you're right, Mrs. Brule. It wouldn't be fair for me to hear them now without some sort of an understanding or arrangement. What I ought to do, I think, is Xerox a few copies tomorrow morning and send them off to some of the agents you recommended to us. If they say, too, that it needs major rewriting, I'll be coming back here and begging you to do what Mrs. Brule suggested. I'll be willing to make whatever arrangement you think is necessary. Same one you had with Mr. Kaufman, I guess. I hope I haven't offended you.
Not at all.
Mr. Anderson, please. Agents know about contracts. They don't
Hey,
know
don't,
about...
Myra. Don't beg him. He'll think he has the wealth of the Indies here, and we're Mr. and Mrs. Jean Lafitte.
I'd never think anything like that, Mr. Brule. I'm grateful you're willing to go out of your way to help me.
But I'm not, really. Now that I've had a moment to process the matter, I would never put aside a play as timely and intensive as the drowning wife to do wet nurse work on one as speculative as Death Trap. Calm down, Myra. You're making me nervous there, sitting there hyperventilating. Do as you said. Show it to a few agents, and if you decide that major rewrites are in order, get in touch. Who knows, I might hit a snag. It's happened once or twice.
Thank you, I will.
Though I doubt I shall. I have it completely outlined, and I'm more than halfway done with it. And I have another play ready to go next, based on the life of Harry Houdini.
Oh?
Yes, magic is very in nowadays. Look at the success of the magic show. Houdini's always been an idol of mine. These are a pair of his handcuffs.
Sydney?
Calm down. Clifford isn't the type of person who would steal someone else's idea. You wouldn't do that, would you?
Of course not.
See? No cause for alarm. His heart as far from fraud as heaven from earth. Remarkable man. Houdini made all his own magical apparatus. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Magnificent craftsmanship. Have a look.
Sydney, please.
Calm down, Myra. He's an honest young man. Now, will you be stopping so fired suspicious of everyone who comes through that door? We've had a very nasty experience a few years back involving a plagiaristic playwright whose name I won't mention since he's gone back to his maker, recalled for repairs. Ever since, Myra has gotten alarmed if I so much as tell another writer the language I'm working in. Don't take it personally. They're quite remarkable. A closer look.
You look so old.
They were made to, and apparently solid and escape-proof.
Certainly looks that way.
Yeah, be my guest.
You mean put them on?
Yes, that's what I mean when you're holding my prized pair of $1,200 Houdini handcuffs, and I say, be my guest. Put them on.
$1,200.
Okay, now turn your wrists like this, press, and pull. You're gonna do it right. It's gotta be a single quick motion. Try that. Turn, press, pull all in one.
It's not opening.
Alright, got the key here, somewhere. Actually, it's not a question of there not being oiled. I've got the key, like I said, somewhere.
Guess I'm just not Houdini.
Where are you, little rat?
This could be a terrific thriller. I mean it could.
How so?
Well, a young playwright sends his first play to an older playwright. The older playwright conducted a seminar that the young playwright attended. Nobody else has read it, and then he goes to visit the older playwright to get ideas for rewrites.
An enormous concatenation of unlikely circumstances, don't you think?
Yes, maybe. You do have the drowning wife and the Houdini play, and Death Trap probably isn't worth killing for.
Well, there you go. You've blitzed the second play problem.
I forgot to mention, I should be getting a phone call any minute now. There's a girl who's coming to see me at 8:30. That's about what time it is now, isn't it? And I couldn't reach her before I left, so I left a note on the hall mirror telling her where I am and giving the number so she can call and find out what train I'm taking back so she can pick me up at the station. 1 2-hour walk a day is just about enough for me. So, I hope you find the keys soon, or else you're gonna have to hold the phone for me.
How is she going to get in to read the note?
She has a key.
You're not a very conscientious house sitter.
She's honest.
Where did you get my address? It's not. Oh. I thought you said over the phone that you didn't know anyone in Milford except for a few tradespeople.
She's from Hartford. Her name's Marietta Klonovsky. She teaches at Quirk Middle School, phys ed.
Where'd you get the number? It's not listed.
They gave it to me at the university along with your address. I'm friendly with Mrs. Beecham there.
Beecham?
The short, red-haired lady with the eye shade?
I hope she gave you the right address. I had it changed a few weeks back. An obscene caller was boring us. Don't think I notified old you of Con. What number did you leave for Miss Konofsky?
I don't remember it.
226-3049 or 226-5457?
The first one. 3049.
New number. I must have notified old you of Con and Queen forgot about it. How strange and how untypical of me.
Would you go on looking for the key, please?
My heart won't take it.
Won't take what, dear? My finding the key? I do believe you two thought I was going to grab the mace there, or sword, and do a Dr. Mannheim. Clifford, is that why you've withdrawn so far upstage?
You can't write a play like that and not have a mind that envisions possibilities.
True, very true. I'm slightly paranoid myself. What's your excuse, so loyal and trusting wife? 18 years and she thinks I'm capable of flesh and blood murder. There's a lesson for you in that. Clifford, come, uncuff yourself. Death Trap is promising, but it's not that promising.
I'm glad it isn't.
No, your greatest invention so far is the name Marietta Konofsky. That's lovely. I
Thanks.
congratulate you. I can see the sweat on her forearm after the basketball game. Mrs. Beecham's eye shade, I thought, was a bit much.
I thought it was the kind of convincing detail you told us to try for. Are you sure this is the right key?
Yay, gods. Houdini opened them up inside a milk can under 10 feet of water. You mean to tell me that you can't do it in...
Oh my god, Cindy, stop! Stop!
Stay back, stay away!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Right next to the rug. Almost neat.
We're going to be arrested.
A young would-be playwright walks away from his house-sitting job. The police won't even bother Dion.
Leaving his clothes and his typewriter?
Why not? Who can figure these young people nowadays? Especially the would-be writers. Maybe he realized he wouldn't be and went off to preach ecology, or to join the Reverend Sun Young Moon. Who knows? His house might be broken into and poor little Smith Colonna stolen.
What are you going to do with him?
Bury him? Behind the garage. No, in the vegetable patch. Easier digging. Would you take a brandy or something? I'm going to be a winner again. All our friends are going to see you living off of my money. Picture their confusion. Your moon all right? I hope this doesn't become a monthly practice. Would you help me carry him? It's been done, Myra. I don't see the point in my getting a hernia. Thank God he wasn't the fat one. make mine a double, I've got myself a bit of a chill. Along with incipient blisters, aching arms, and small devils poking pitchforks into what seems to be my lumbago. In Murderer's Child, I had Dr. Mannheim bury Teddy in 45 minutes. In future, I'll know better. We're at one hearthrug, but I saw some very nice ones at the Yield House just the other day. I have a feeling you're about to deliver a speech. Would you mind holding off until I poured my own brandy and sat down?
I had intended to. I've learned something in 11 years of melodrama.
Good girl. Go.
I'd be very happy living on your money, but I don't relish the thought of living on his. I've tried to understand how you could do it, keeping in mind your disappointments and your embarrassment in our financial situation, but I can't. And how are you supposed to feel like a winner when we'll both know it's his play? I don't understand that either. You're alien to me, Sydney. And it can't have been just since 5 o'clock this afternoon. You must have always been very different from the person I thought you were. I don't think the police will be as unconcerned as you are, so I don't want us to do anything suspicious in case they come to question us, but
How will they? He vanished in Milford. This is Westport.
they'll check into his past associations. He must have gotten here just from the university.
If they come, I'll simply say he wrote to me a twerpy little letter asking for advice, and I answered it. Or I just threw it away.
In a month or so, if we haven't been arrested, I want you to leave. We'll have a few arguments in people's living rooms, but if you can write them for us, little tips about money or something, and then you'll move out. I wish you could take the vegetable garden with you, but since you can't, you'll buy it from me. As soon as the money starts rolling in. Before you get the Rolls Royce, and before you go to the Riviera. You'll buy the vegetable patch, and the house, and the whole 9.34 acres. We'll have Maury Escher set a fair price.
Darling, you've had
Get away from me!
You've had a shocking and painful experience, and so have I. I'm terrified that I'll be caught and absolutely guilt-ridden about having been insane enough to do it. I'm going to give half the money to the New Dramatists League. I swear I am. This isn't the time to talk about anything. In a few days,
Ding dong.
things will look much cheerier.
But you're yourself right now, and so am I. The doorbell just rang.
Must be Lottie and Ralph who yammer about the movie.
Probably Helga Timber.
Don't be silly.
Ding dong!
It's Lottie and Ralph, damn them. We've got to let them in. Can you face them? Maybe you'd better go upstairs and
No. I'll sit here and let you hope that I don't fall apart. Ding dong!
Coming! Who is it?
It's neighbor from House McBain's. Will you please let me in? It's most urgent. I called for information, but lady will not tell me your number. Will you let me come in? I am neighbor. I am friend of Bull Hercos. Please, it's most urgent. Will you let me come in?
Come in.
I apologize for late, but you will forgive when I make the explaining. Oh, just as I see them. Windows and beams and pain, 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 pain.
We're neither of us up to snuff today.
Eek. Why do you have such pain-covered things?
They're antiques and souvenirs from plays. I'm a playwright.
Just Sydney Brule. Paul tells me of you. We make book together.
My wife, Myra.
How do you do?
What do you say that pains you there lately?
Nothing. I'm fine, really.
No. Something you see pains you. Paul tells you of me. I am Helga Tendorf. I am psychic.
Yes, he did. In fact, we were going to
Oh,
ask...
for hours now I felt pain coming from here. Since 8:30 when Merv Griffin show is on. I'm on it next week. You will watch?
Yes, certainly. Make a note of that, Myra.
Thursday night. Paul Herkos also. Why they want him, I do not know. But I call for information lately. She told me not to remember. I call for Paul, but he is at place with red walls and eating with chopsticks. I call information lately again. I say, it's most urgent. I'm Helga Tendorf. I am psychic. She says, yes, number. But all I see is a 226, which is everyone. Just so I come here. And the pain is, it's getting much worse and more than pain.
More than pain?
Just something frightening. No, it will interfere.
What will?
The drink you will offer me. Always keep head unclouded, never drink unless images become too many, then I get drunk. Was used many times by beautiful dark-haired women. But only
That's amazing! It's from my play, Murder Game. It was used every night by a beautiful dark-haired actress.
Will be used again. Not in play, but because of play. Because of play, it will be used again. You should put these things away.
Yes, I think I will. In a month or so, I'll sell the whole collection. Tired of them anyway.
Maybe too late. I do not like to make unhappy people, but I must say when I see something, Jack.
Well, actually, I don't know. You could be quiet. I mean, you're supposed to be resting, aren't you? Not in your own country.
Must speak as my God-give gift, and there is a danger here. Something frightening, something that invites a death trap. Is that the English name, death trap?
Yes.
It's the title of a play I've been working on. That's where you got it from. There's a death in the play. That must be what you're responding to. I work here at this desk.
It feels like real death.
I try to be convincing. Act everything out as I write it.
Man, in boots, he attacks you.
He attacks me.
He comes with one of those. He comes as friend to work with you, and then he attacks you. Is confusion here.
Well, I'll certainly be on the lookout for a man in boots. We're going to be Japanese from now on. Shoes off at the door.
He speaks of a Diane.
Oh, there's a Diane in the play.
And two other people, Smith and Colonna. No, one person, a small black man. Is there black man in play, Smith Colonna?
I've never heard the name before.
It's confusing image here. Nothing else comes, everything gone.
Well, that was a most impressive demonstration, wasn't it, dear? The way you picked up on the title of the play and Diane and the dagger business, really awesome.
Remember what I tell you. Dagger is used because of play, and man in boots attacks you. These two things I'm certain of. Everything else is a confusion. Pain is less now, Jacques?
Yes. There wasn't any to begin with, really.
Oh, what a marvelous gift. I must confess I've been skeptical about ESP, but you've convinced me it's genuine.
Yeah, very genuine, but not happy gift to the owner of.
Have you always had it?
Oh, yes, since child. Never could enjoy a game of hide and seek, always ruined. And parents never wrapped Christmas gifts, and why wasting paper? And in my teen years, walking with boys, yuck! Such images.
Won't you have that drink now? I'd very much like to talk to you.
No, thank you. I must get back home. You will come take dinner with me sometime. I tell you of my life. Make a very interesting play. Oh. When child lived in big house with yellow shutters, Jacques?
Yes, that's right.
When moon is full, I am at top form. Good night.
Good night.
Be careful. You too.
Yes, I intend to. No boots allowed. Good night.
Good night. Oh, remember Thursday night Murph Griffin show. Good night.
she can do, we have nothing to worry about.
Aren't you worried about the danger she saw?
Not especially.
We're going to be arrested.
I don't see how. If the police do come and they do bring her into it, which hardly seems likely, well, what of it? She'll have them coming to tri-state area for a small black boy with 2 spools of ribbon.
She saw him sitting there. She heard him speaking.
But she had the main point backwards. You'll see. There's nothing to worry about. I'll burn that thing or throw it away in the garbage tomorrow morning, and that'll be the end of it. In a day, in a week or so, it'll all be behind us. I couldn't help myself, Myra. I saw the play going out into the world tomorrow morning, and him sitting there so young, so lucky. Don't decide yet about kicking the old boy out. And please, I beg you, don't entertain thoughts of using the dagger. Just a joke. Another one of her confused images, I'm sure. Though, if we do get a housekeeper, I want her to have terrifically good references.
I want you to sell the collection.
Probably I should. I will. Not right away, though. It'll look too suspicious. Amazing, isn't it? 18 years, and Tanya's aura still permeates it.
You should put that away somewhere.
Exit dagger into desk.
You know, part of me was hoping you would do it. At the same time that I was terrified, I saw the money and your name.
You tried to stop me. You did your best. It was my doing and mine only. You helped me carry him because I asked you to, and you were too stunned and too in the habit of helping me to refuse. If anything should go wrong, there must never be any confusion whatsoever on that point. But nothing will go wrong. In a few days, we'll be celebrating. Leading producer options new, Sidney Brule thriller. Successful playwrights admit envy. Let's lock up and turn in. Is it possible that murder is an aphrodisiac? Well, what a blow that would be to the importers of ginseng roots, not to mention the departments of health, education, and...
No, please. He couldn't help himself. I tried to stop him. Really, I did. Please, no. Please.
She's dead. I'm positive. It worked.
How could it not? She's had minor ones over much less. I've got news for you. Styrofoam hurts. You used it a hell of a lot harder than you did at the motel.
Added adrenaline of the actual performance. You didn't make the strangling a jolly experience. How about that Helga Tendorf? Almost had a heart attack myself out there.
Same here.
Spooky the way she saw I was gonna attack you.
She was a little off base, though. She had you doing it with one of the weapons.
Must have been the scarf getting mixed in.
Yes, well... Oh! Job is very confusing image. Oh, side of your nose. It's just as well she came. Now she'll be telling everyone that she felt the physical pain of the oncoming heart attack. Every little bit helps. I've been telling people for days that Myra's been under the weather. Not that any supporting evidence is needed, really.
Well, I better go get my things in.
No rush. I'm not going to call the doctor for a few minutes yet. We don't want them working any miracles of resuscitation, do we?
And what if Madame Tendorf comes back?
I can't think why she should. The pain has stopped now, hasn't it?
Yeah. Hadn't thought of that.
Hey, don't move around too much. You're shedding dirt. I'll bet you were glad to hear my exit dagger line.
Is that for my benefit?
Of course. I was going to suggest putting it away myself if she didn't. I was afraid that the prediction might have made you uneasy. I had visions of you herring off into the woods, leaving me with the living wife, an imaginary corpse, and a no surefire can't miss thriller to justify the one to the other.
I'd never have done that.
I just thought I'd relieve any possible anxiety. I don't think I'd better burn these now. It'll take too long.
Why burn them at all? They're just old manuscripts.
True. Maybe we can cut them up and use the backs for scrap. What the hell? I'll say I was cleaning out my files when we were first cut.
The closer you can stay to the truth, the better off you are.
You're a fountain of homey wisdom, Cliffy boy. Well, Death Trap, that you were the genuine article.
We can set up my office here.
No? I have a surprise for you.
Let me guess, I work in the maid's room.
Would I do that to you? You're going to be staying right here in the handsomely converted stable as promised.
Then what's the surprise?
You'll see after the obsequies. I hope you don't mind Zenobia tearing along at full speed. I really am going to try something on ESP. That was an awfully good demonstration, despite the mistakes.
I'm ready to get to work too.
Like, something you mentioned at the seminar?
No, I've got a better idea. Last week I was cleaning out my desk and I realized there was a play there in a typical urban welfare office.
Thriller?
No. To be honest, I've begun to lose interest in thrillers. I want to try something more honest, more relevant.
Even though you use those words, I'm going to let you stay here. Well, you better get going. Oh, go get your things. I'm gonna call the doctor now.
Right.
Is he there? City Bruhl. B-R-U-H-L. Would you have him call me back right away? It's urgent. My wife's had a heart attack. I'm afraid there's no use in that. 226-3049.
I left the weights for tomorrow and the typewriter.
Yes, little Mr. Kelowna.
That was funny, wasn't it? On his way?
Answering service.
Didn't you know? Well, I'll see you later. How long do you think it'll be?
A few hours. I might have to go with her. I don't know.
Well, ciao.
Ciao. Oh, Cliff. The floor up there creaks badly, so do a quick wash and get into bed and stay there.
I'll buy that.
Hello? Yes, a bad one. I gave her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation for 10 or 15 minutes, but there's no use. There's nothing. She's been under the weather for the past few days. I wanted to call you, but she wouldn't let me. She said it was only a hiccup. Oh. Well, that must have been quite a welfare office.
It was. Everyone there had a poignant story. They're writing the play of their own accord.
No notes, no outlines?
This isn't a thriller, Sydney. It's not dependent on intricate plotting and contrived theatrics. These are real people. All I'm doing is bringing them on and letting them spill out their dreams and frustrations, their anger at the bureaucracy.
Your pap will have a messenger at the door any minute.
I was thinking of him as a possible producer. You know it.
Slightly. Let me see a few pages.
Sure if you'd like, but I'd really rather wait to give you the whole thing when it's finished. One glorious bundle. Would you mind?
Of course not. What's another hour or so?
It'll take 3 or 4 weeks, I think.
At the rate you're going, you'll have a trilogy by then.
Nothing doing?
Thinking.
Why don't you invite her over? Tendor. Talking with her might spark something.
Do you think we should have her, risk having her on the premises?
Maybe not when the moon is full, but any other time, why not? Look at the egg she laid on the Griffin show.
Yes, and she got rattled by Peter Herkos when he told her about all of her husbands in such detail.
Oh, Belle Forrester called before you came down. She wanted to know if she could bring a casserole or some sort of button. I told her we were managing just fine.
Ding dong!
No. We don't want to break the flow, do we? Oh, come in, Porter.
How are
It's
you,
good to see you.
Sydney?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
I have some business things I've come to tell you about. Am I disturbing you?
No, not at all. I'm glad of the chance to have a break.
I have to be in New Haven this afternoon. The secretary?
Yes.
My, what a fast typist.
Yes, he is, isn't he? Hey, Clifford. This is Clifford Anderson.
How
This
do you
is
do?
my friend Porter.
How do you do, sir?
I would say my attorney, but then he'd bill me.
I am going to anyways. This is a business call, at least partly.
Clifford was at the seminar I conducted last July. It was then he asked me about a secretarial position. And then when Meyer passed on, I realized that I would need someone to lend a hand, so I called him, and the next day, here he was.
Have typewriter will travel.
That was very good of you.
Shall I go get the groceries now? Then you and Mr. Melvin can talk about it.
Would you mind?
I have to do it sometime before dinner. Might as well.
All right. Give me a second, Porter.
Take your time. I haven't started the clock yet. I love this room.
Isn't it nice? Pleasure working here.
He seems well.
Yes, he's picked up quite a bit in the past few days. The first week was pretty bad. He was crying every night. I could hear him plainly. And he was drinking heavily. But he'll pull through. His work is a great solace to him.
I've always envied my writer clients on that account. I tried to play once. Yeah, about the Supreme Court Justice I most admire. But even the title is a problem. Frankfurter.
20 enough?
Too much. We only need salad things and milk. I'm going to get some.
Oh, pick up some yogurt too. Anything but pudding.
Okay. You weren't in the driveway, were you?
No, I'm pulled off to the side.
Well, see you later, or nice meeting you, whichever it turns out to be.
I'm sure I'll be seeing you sometime. Pleasant young fellow. Good looking too.
Yes. Porter? Do you think he's gay, homosexual?
I know what gay means, Sydney. Elizabeth told me long ago. No, he didn't strike me that way.
I have a sneaking suspicion he might be. But he does his work well. I suppose that is none of my business.
Well, considering he is a domestic employee, his sexual preference could be a legitimate matter of concern.
I wasn't asking for a legal opinion. I was just saying that it really isn't any of my business.
In that case, no, it isn't.
Besides, people would talk if I took in a female secretary, wouldn't they?
If she were under 80.
Yes, that's what I thought. So I called Clifford.
Fine.
I'm glad to see you looking so
Glad to see you looking so well. That young man's been discouraging all callers. Part of the reason I came here, I was delegated by Elizabeth and the Harveys and the Wessons. We were worried that we were worse off than that boy was letting on, but obviously that's not the case.
No, I'm not a socializer yet, but my work is a great solace.
What do you want to now?
Play Helga Tendorf's in the McBain cottage.
Yeah. Tell me, is it true what they say? Did you mind me talking about this?
No, not at all.
It's true what they say, is it? She actually pointed to the spot on the floor where Myra was going to fall.
Oh, no. Nothing like that. Nothing at all like that. All she did was come in and say there was pain. There was so much pain. And then Myra said, there's slight pain. And then she said, well, given your past experiences, you should probably go see a doctor. Which is what I've been telling you for days.
Uncanny. Being able to sense things like that. I should think you would be able to write a fine thriller on the subject.
It's
Yes. The first matter on the agenda is your will. As it stands, if something were to happen to you, your cousins in Vancouver would inherit. Would you like to keep it that way? The next thing. Here. It's only approximate because I don't have up-to-date appraisals on the real estate, but it's about as much as you can expect. Give or take a few $1,000.
there was this much.
Myra was keeping secrets. She knew. Her records were in apple pie order.
How much of this is the government going to get?
Not too much. The first $250,000 are exempt from federal taxes, and the state tax, which starts at $50,000, is only a few percent. And the third thing. I spoke to Mary Escher at the planning board meeting last night. He said you were talking to him about selling off a few acres. Yeah, well, you wouldn't be able to anyways. Not until the will goes through probate, at least.
I just asked him what he thought I could get.
Oh. Then he was jumping the gun, not you. I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that point. The business? You've gotten off cheap.
Yes, lucky.
Well, I better get to New Haven. Get going if I'm going to be in New Haven by this afternoon. Go. Hold this. And did the insurance company send you the check yet?
No, they haven't.
I'll write them a letter first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, thanks.
And will you come have dinner with us?
In a day or so, when I'm feeling like I can take on the world again.
Good enough. See ya.
Oh, give Elizabeth my love.
Oh, I will.
And the girls! Shit! Now open up, you bastard! Get out! Oh! Jesus Christmas! That was quick.
On the way to Gibson's?
Here. Take those.
It's okay, I don't mind.
No, come on. You did the shopping, I'll put away.
That's a bit.
Oh, get back to the welfare office.
The avocado's supposed to be organic.
Yeah. no, you've lost your interest in thrillers. No taste for the intricate plotting and glib, superficial characters. You wanted to do something more real, something more meaningful, socially relevant.
Cut it out, will you? Your idea will start coming.
Cool, probably.
Just relax and don't try to bug me. It'll come.
Death Trap, a thriller in 2 acts. Characters: Julian Crane, Doris Crane, Willard Peterson, Inga Van Bronk. The action takes place in Julian Crane's study in the Crane home in Westport, Connecticut.
You have one hell of a nerve.
Setting! Julian Crane's study is a handsomely converted stable grafted onto an authentically colonial house. Sliding doors, center, open up on a foyer, which are the house's front door entrances to the living room and the kitchen and the stairway to the 2nd floor. French doors upstage right open out to a shrubbery-flanked patio. Downstage left is a fieldstone fireplace, practical to the extent that paper can be burned in it. The room's furnishings are tastefully chosen antiques. A few chairs and occasional pieces, a buffet downstage right with liquor decanters, and the focus of the room, Julian's desk. You remember Julian's desk, don't you? The one he worked on, the one he worked at before he took crazy Willard Peterson into his home. Pattern draperies hang at the French doors. The room is decorated with framed theatrical posters, unlike these, which are window cards, not posters. And a collection of guns, handcuffs, maces, broadswords, and battle axes, several of which I'm going to make use of any minute now.
That's it. You're not gonna act out the 11 pages. Would you like me to explain?
What's there to explain? You're a lunatic with a death wish. Freud covered it thoroughly.
I have the exact same wish you have. A success wish.
This is going to bring you success?
It came to me that night, remember? When I put in that extra speech when you were looking for the key to be a terrific thriller?
Where someone like me and someone like you give someone like Myra a fatal heart attack.
Yes, at the end of Act 1.
What, pray tell me, is your definition of success? Oh, getting gang-banged in the shower at the state penitentiary.
I knew you had reservations. That's why my first instinct was to tell you it wasn't even a thriller. I haven't enjoyed this one, Sydney. I'm glad it's out in the open.
You knew I would have reservations.
You do, don't you?
The housebound man is writing a play that'll send us both to prison.
It won't.
I'm standing here, terrified, horrified, petrified, stupefied, crapping my pants. And you have the utter gall to say to me that he calls that having reservations. But I'm not going to use those. No, I'm going to beat you to death with Roget's thesaurus.
There is no possible way for anyone to prove what did or did not cause Myra's heart attack. Look, if I could change things, I could, but I can't. It has to be a playwright. Who else could pretend to receive a finished piece that would make tons of money?
A novelist, a composer. Why am I discussing this?
Would a novelist or composer know how to stage a convincing murder? A surefire smash hit symphony? No. And it has to be a playwright who writes thrillers, because Arthur Miller probably has old sample cases that he wants to know. Why? I suppose I could make it Wilton instead of Westport.
Why make it anywhere? Why make it?
It's there, Sydney!
That's mountains, not plays. A play isn't there until some asshole comes around and writes it.
Will you stop and think for a minute? Think! Try to imagine it from an audience's perspective. Everything we did to convince Myra she was seeing a real murder would have the exact same effect on them. Scene 1. Julian tells Doris about the fantastic new play he's just received. He jokes about killing for it. Audience thinks what Doris thinks, that Julian might kill Willard. Scene 2. Everything that happened since we came through that door. All the little ups and downs we put in to make it ring true, the I'm expecting a phone call bit, everything. Tightened up a bit, naturally. Now be honest. And then the strangling, which scares the audience as much as it does Doris.
No wonder you didn't need an outline.
I don't need it. It's all up here. Scene 3. Inga Van Bronk. A few laughs can't hurt, right? And Julian and Doris get ready to go upstairs. And it looks like the act is coming to a kind of so-so close. And wham! In comes Willard out of the grave, seeking vengeance. Doris has her heart attack. Julian gets up from the fake beating. The audience realizes that Willard and Julian are in cahoots, that there is no surefire thriller, that Willard is moving in. Now, be honest. Isn't that a surefire first act?
Oh, what an intermission. 20 years to life.
They can't prove it really happened. How can they?
What do you say to the man at the Times when he says, I'm just gonna.
Don't you work for Sydney
When he says, don't you work for Sidney Brule? And then he says, and didn't his wife had a heart attack just around the time that you came there?
No comments.
Oh my God!
I know it's going to be a little sticky, Sydney, but these days everybody's opening up about everything. In print, on TV, why not on stage? As long as it can't be proved. I've been doing some thinking, and I honestly believe it'll help the play. Give it an added layer of intriguing gossip.
See the box in the New York Magazine now. Tongues are wagging about the similarities between real-life events of the private lives of the author, Clifford Anderson, and producer, Sidney Brule, who committed suicide on the night of the performance. When queried, Mr. Anderson said, "No comment." I have a comment. Clifford? No! Absolutely, positively no. Why?
I have a name and a reputation.
I have a name and a reputation, tattered perhaps, but still valid for dinner invitations, house seats, and the conducting of summer seminars. I want to be known as the author of the murder game, not the fag who knocked off his wife. Why, look! A fieldstone fireplace. Let's see if it's practical to the extent that paper can be.
Don't you dare! You burn that and I'll go somewhere else and write it again. I'll get a house-sitting job. Give it, Sydney. Give it to me. I'd hoped that when I showed you the finished draft, you would be able to get over your Angel Street uptightness and pitch in, but I guess we can forget about that.
Collaboration?
Mostly your idea, isn't it? I'm not pretending it's all my baby. And I know Act 1 is coming out a bit heavy and stilted. I had hoped we could be a team. Brule and Anderson.
Rogers and Heartless.
See, now I could never come up with something like that.
I'm sorry, but I really don't feel like collaborating on my public humiliation.
Mine.
Next season's hit. Don't say I didn't ask.
Next season's hit. Say I didn't ask. I think I'd better move out anyway. When Helga Tendorf said a woman was going to use the dagger because of a play, maybe she wasn't that far off target.
Don't be silly. I love you, but I wouldn't think of trying to harm you. Besides, you would break my neck.
Goddamn right I would.
So don't talk about leaving.
I don't know. I'm not going to be comfortable with you being unhappy about it.
I'll whistle a lot. Maybe I am being old-fashioned, tight. You are.
These days, geez, who cares about anything?
Simply could use half the royalties of a solid hit. just gave me the figures on Myra's estate. It's even smaller than I thought. $22,000, which half of which goes into taxes. There's the house and the land, of course. But I can't sell any acreage until the will goes through probate, and he says that's going to take 2 or 3 years. The insurance isn't all that much.
The offer's still open.
No. It crossed my mind that afternoon that the play in the mail thing would make a really good first scene. Really.
It's your idea. Sydney, all I did was help with the details. But pretty neat the way you managed it.
I tried breaking the damn thing. The damn thing's a fortress. Peter Porter noticed you locked up. I was afraid you were doing something on ESP.
I thought I was being so inconspicuous.
He's sharp. Dull, but sharp. I'll do it. Let people talk. I'll blush all the way to the bank.
Doing it?
Rule and Anderson.
Great. Great. We'll make it Wilton, not Westport.
The Westport. The hell with it.
Jesus, just think. Me, Clifford Anderson, collaborating with Sydney before. Act 2 is going to be a problem.
So,
Well, the murders in Act 1. 2 murders in effect. Act 2 is liable to be a letdown.
not necessarily.
We'll bring in the 5th character. The detective. I was thinking of a Connecticut version of the one from Dial M.
Inspector Hubbard.
Yeah. And Inga Van Bronk ought to come in one more time. Good comic character like that, we'd be foolish not to make the best of her.
You go on drafting Act 1. Let me do a little thinking about Act 2.
Mr. Brule, is I Helge Dendor.
Come in. Mr. Brule isn't here right now.
I come through wood, it's less walk.
He should be back any minute.
You are?
His secretary, Clifford Anderson.
Helge Dendor, if I'm psychic.
I know. Mr. Brule's told me about you. I understand you predicted his wife's death?
Yeah, I feel pain right here. So sad. Such pretty lady. Is he well, Mr. Brule?
Yes, fine. He went out to dinner. First time since. He said he'd be back by 10, and it's just about 15:15.
There is a big storm coming. Thunder and lightning. The trees will fall.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I heard on radio. Oh, you have candles here. I come to borrow some.
I don't know. I haven't noticed any, but I'm sure they're somewhere. I'll go look. Why don't you have a seat?
Oh, thank you. Eh? You have books.
Yeah, everybody's wearing them. They're comfortable.
You longtime secretary of Mr. Brule?
No, I just got here about 3 weeks ago, right after Mrs. Brule died.
Hi, what a bored...
Mr. Brule, Mrs. Tendorf is here.
Oh. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Brule.
How are you?
Well,
Did you get my note?
yeah, thank you.
Yours was most kind, and flowers.
Do we have any candles? Mrs. Tendorf, there's a storm coming and Mrs. Tendorf wants to borrow some.
Yes, we've got a box of them somewhere. I think Myra kept them over the refrigerator. If not there, then on the shelf on the landing. A gray cardboard box. I saw you on the Griffin show. It wasn't a very good night, was it? Was it?
Me, man, I warn you of. Man in boots attacks you.
Oh my God. In the turmoil of Myra's death, I completely forgot about the warning.
Is he? The candles, I have many candles, but I feel pain here. It's for you, danger. You need to send this man away.
You know, I made up my mind to, just last night, to dismiss it. I was discussing the matter with my lawyer. He became uneasy about him last week, so I asked my lawyer to
Eh? Corona? Is his?
Ja, yes.
Of course. It's Corona, not Colonna. That's my black man's face sacred. You must send this man away tonight.
I was going to give him his notice at any rate, and I certainly won't put it off. Now that you've come and warned me about him, you're positive you saw him attack you.
Like TV. So sharp.
Come in, Clifford.
I'll take 2. Thank you.
You're welcome to take more.
No, 2 is enough.
It's really blowing up out there.
Just like predictions is true. I should stay?
No need to. I hope you beat the rain.
Yes, I go through wood. Let's walk. Good night.
Good night.
It's pitch black. Will you be able to find your way?
Yep. I have torch.
Good night.
Good night.
What's wrong?
My daughter is pregnant for months now. They try, but doctors say they cannot have, but she is pregnant. Good think I'm going to be grandmother. I must call and tell them all.
She told you I was the man in boots who was going to attack you?
Yes?
She noticed them right before you came in. Did you tell her I used a styrofoam log instead of one of the weapons?
Didn't think it quite advisable. I told you you're giving me karate lessons and we're attacking each other all over the place. The closer you say to the truth, the better off you are.
I'm almost finished with Act 1.
Your evening was better spent than mine.
I ended it with Julian on the phone.
How can I go on without her?
He wants the doctor to think he's upset, doesn't he?
Well, your dialogue may be a bit Tin Pan Alley, but your timing couldn't be better. I've got Act 2 ready to go.
Terrific.
That is, I think I do. There are 2 bits of business I'm not sure will work. We'll try them, and if they do, I'll give you the whole thing scene by scene. It's full of surprises.
Can't wait to hear him.
Go up and check the windows first, will you? Sounds as if we're getting hurricanes, Alice through Zelda.
How many scenes are there?
3, same as in Act 1. I like that sort of symmetry.
All windows shut.
Fine.
So what are these bits of business?
We're in the final scene. Back to back, as it were. Willard has spilled the beans, and our Connecticut version of Inspector Hubbard has come to fear Julian and is dead. Julian, quite berserk, shoots the inspector in the left arm, but there's only 1 bullet in the gun, so now he's trying to get to the upstage wall in order to grab a weapon and finish the job. Question number 1 is, can a 1-armed inspector in otherwise good condition stop a 2-armed middle-aged playwright from going to where he wants? The answer better be no. Let's try it. Me and Julian, you Hubbard. Right about here.
Left arm out of commission.
Yes, ready?
Ready.
Gotta try harder than that.
I think that would look convincing.
Not even to a theater party. Hey, come on, give it a good try. Maybe you'd better be Julie.
I was afraid I was gonna rip your shirt.
Cliff, dear, we're trying to become rich and famous. Let's not let a 5-year-old shirt stand in the way, okay?
Can't we just let the director and the actors figure this out?
That isn't the way professional playwrights operate, dum-dum. Professional playwrights don't offer a script until they're absolutely sure that everything in it is playable and doable. Now, let's show them why Brule and Anderson are going to go down in theatrical history.
Oh, shoelaces.
What? Oh! Oh, God damn it! Voila! It works.
And look at your shirt. And mine, Jesus. I scratched your neck.
I'll survive the second bit now. Much less strenuous and very brief.
I'm glad of that.
I'm Hubbard now, and you're Julian. Going up to the wall. Yep, take the axe. Doesn't look natural that way.
Feels natural.
Try a different way.
Doesn't feel right this way.
All right, go back to the way you had it. Now, put it down. On the floor. Stand very still. We have goodbyes to say. Death Trap is over. We're now into Theater Verite. The gun from gunpoint. No blanks, as at the dear old Lyceum, though. Real bullets, courtesy of the messers. Remington. I loaded it last night after you were asleep. I really don't want that play to be written. Even though nothing can be proved, too much will be talked about, and I'm a little too old and, yes, uptight to join the Washington secretaries and the ex-lovers of ex-presidents and the happy hookers and the happily hooked in the National Bad Taste Exposition. And I honestly can't think of any other way to make sure you both set me up in a centrally located booth. I asked Porter to have you checked out in Hartford. A few blots were found on your record, precisely the ones you told me about. And Porter feels, we discussed it this evening, that they tend to justify the unease I've been feeling. So I came home and gave you your notice. You became abusive and violent, and Mrs. Tendorf's 3-week-old vision came to pass. Luckily, I got to the gun, which I have the license and right to use in self-defense. It beats digging up the vegetable patch, doesn't it? I'm truly sorry, Cliff. If you hadn't succumbed to thrilleritis malignus, who knows, we might actually have become the team Brule and Anderson. As it is, we'll have to be only Brule. I'm out of dialogue. Your go.
What can I say? I'm not gonna beg.
I thought you might promise to become a steam fitter or something.
Would you believe me?
No.
So, I'm hoping you'll take pity on a pretty face.
Oh, God. I shall miss you very much. Goodbye, Cliff.
Bye, Sydney. I thought a click would be anticlimactic, so I bought some blanks this morning while I was getting the bullets for this one. Sit down, dum-dum. Sit down. Reversal. You talked about it the first day of the seminar. Important element of all drama. Put that down. The problem was, I had this terrific Act 1 and I couldn't think of an Act 2. Very frustrating, especially since I'm sharing bed and board with the old master plotter himself, author of The Murder Game. and in for the kill, which, in my opinion, is a much more elegant construction.
Thanks. That makes two of us.
At present, yes. Be my guest.
You may put them on.
That's what I mean. So there we are. Continue floating through the arm of the chair. Don't place up through the arm. So there I am with my problem. I know Sydney's not going to help me, not willingly. That I figured out at square one. Sydney uses 3 kinds of deodorant and 4 kinds of mouthwash. Not for him, the stench of scandal. But is there maybe a way I can harness that 17-joule brain and put it to work for me all unwittingly? So I begin to write Act 1. And every time I leave my desk, I inconspicuously lock the drawer. So inconspicuously, in fact, that for a day and a half, smart Sydney didn't notice. But then, dull old Porter came in, thank God, and saved me the embarrassment of getting heavy-handed and leaving a loose page lying around.
You're a shit, you know that?
You want to say that into the microphone? So, there we are. Anderson and Brule. Sydney thinks I write. I don't get much sleep. Like last night, for instance, I barely got a wink, what with all the tiptoeing that was going on. But I'll make it up next week. Thank you for Act 2. No, Inspector Hubbard, Julian's lawyer is the big character. Scene 1. Julian finds out Willard is writing the real death trap about Doris's murder. He pretends to collaborate, but asks old Peter Pilgrim, whatever, to check up on him, knowing full well there are false and unfair claims to be found. Scene 2. Julian sets Willard up for what will look like a murder in self-defense by getting him to enact bits of business for the play. That's beautiful, Sydney. Everything we just did will play like a dream, and I never would have thought of it. I really am in your debt. Julian shoots Willard, who is basically an innocent kid that Julian
Whoa,
let
you
stray.
bastard!
But in the next moment, Inga Van Bronk and Peter Pilgrim come in. Willard lives just long enough to tell the truth about Julian and himself and Doris's murder. And then, Julian shoots himself. Curtain.
No scene 3?
About what? They're both dead. Play's over.
Yeah, sounds a little unsatisfying. I'll be glad to think up some more.
No thanks. I'll manage to fill in the holes. I'll be taking whatever money I can find. Before I leave, when the cab is at the door, I'll give you the key. You'll tell people that you gave me my notice, and I accept it with grace and charm. If you tell anyone that I stole anything, or hassle me in any way, you will be opening a very messy can of peas. Maybe I'll find some rubies upstairs. See you anon.
Oh, Clifford! They were the Houdini ones. Jesus, come on. Come on. Miss Brule. B-R-U-H-L. How nice of you to know. I just killed my secretary. He's coming at me with an axe. That's right. Wait till you hear this part. I shot him with an old medieval crossbow. It was the only thing I could get my hands on. I assure you, it isn't. Come out and see. but you better bring some flashlights. B-R-U-H-L. Sydney. Well, how nice of you to know.
His name.
His name was...
What? She died of a heart attack.
They make it happen. She sees Brule kill boy.
Now hold on a minute.
Quiet.
The boy didn't.
Brule shows her play. Good play. Brule invites boy. Then kills him. Around neck. And quick! Then takes play. She helps him bury body. Pain brings me, but now I am gone. Boy in grave comes with log. No, please! I tried to stop him! Eee! She dies.
My God. Fake murder to bring about a real one. Are you sure that's how it happened? I thought it was strange. The boy coming in on such short notice.
Was no play.
There wasn't?
But now boy writes of it. All they have done. And Brule discovers.
I saw him putting it in the desk drawer.
He's afraid, Brule. All the play brings shame.
That play about them killing Myra, I'm sure he was afraid.
Now, he tricks boy. Gives axe and takes gun and shoots. But there is blinks. Boy strict Brule. Chains him. We'll go. Chains break free.
The Houdini set, yeah.
Takes arrow from shelf and shoots him.
And takes him and puts him by the axe,
Burns play.
and the ashes in the fireplace.
Calls police.
And while he's on the phone,
Takes arrow out of back and stabs him. Just as I saw 4 weeks ago.
my God, what an incredible story. It's better than the murder game.
You think it could be play?
It certainly has the feel of one. Everything happening in one room. 5 characters.
Death drop.
Say, that's a catchy title. I couldn't write Frankfurter. Maybe I could write Death Trap.
Ja, I see. Full audience, much applause, and people waiting outside for tickets, freezing and cold.
My goodness, that's encouraging.
What is my play?
What? How could you say that? It was Sydney's idea and the boys. They lived it.
If I not tell, you not know.
It's true. And I can't deny that, but... And you supplied me with the title, but... If I do, in fact, give you the...
We split money half and half.
I can't be serious. I'm gonna go home and work nights and weeks for months, maybe even give up my vacation, and all you've done is come in here and touch furniture for 2 minutes.
If we not share, I tell of telephone.
Telephone?
I hear this secret sneakily into handkerchief and hey boys, such dirty words to your friend. For shame a man like you married a great lawyer with 2 daughters. No, 3 daughters. For shame, tiska tiska tiska.
You interfering busy
Be careful! Knife is sharp. I have
Strong
self-defense from
Scottish
Amsterdam police.
Dutch
I am
whore.
strong and unafraid!
Ah!